Anyone seen Verizon's Super Bowl commercial? Okay. Well, watch today. It premiered last week on the Grammys and stars Buzz Aldrin, who, with Neil Armstrong, first stepped on the moon 56 years ago. It also stars Paul Maccarelli, a less well-known name, perhaps best remembered as the face of Verizon's "Can You Hear Me Now" ad back in the 2002 to 2011 timeframe. It occurs to me, context matters. For those of us who remember the awe and the excitement of being huddled around a small black and white TV set that hot July 21st in 1969 and hearing one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind, the line in Verizon's current commercial, one giant leap for connectivity, it makes sense. Aldrin says, Verizon is conquering dead zones with satellite, and I'm helping them do it. And from remote locations, including space, Aldrin and Maccarelli ask the question, can you text me now? So remembering the "Can You Hear Me Now" ads provide context to understand that Verizon now offers satellite to cell service as a solution for remote users where cell coverage is lacking. Now, this might only be interesting to me as someone who spent a couple of decades working in business sales at Bell Atlantic and Verizon. However, I think it provides a good backdrop for our messaging today, which really is connectivity matters, and connectivity is part of love. Sometimes we answer calls, right? Sometimes we ignore calls. Today, let's consider that each of us is called, not just from a smartphone. Our gospel opens with Jesus at Simon's house. Simon, who's obviously married because the story's about his mother-in-law who has a high fever. And what does Jesus do? He rebukes the fever. And once the fever left him, she immediately engages and deaconed to them. Just like Messiah a few weeks ago, right? We've got these great words that become verbs. Anyone else find it curious that Jesus chooses a nameless, invisible woman as his first healing miracle? Apparently, we who model Jesus are called to love even the nameless, invisible people. Let's not forget that Jesus was a brown-skinned Judean whose family fled state-sanctioned violence and then relocated to occupied territory to avoid being victims of unfair and cruel political mandates. And speaking of love, let me offer a bit of context for the poem that Lucy proclaimed today. It was written in response to a video that was posted by the writer, preacher, and commentator Diana Butler Bass. She shared it and she used the phrase, love relentlessly. Diana, who has never met Rosemerry, the author of the poem, was surprised and delighted that Rosemerry ended up seeing the video. And when she saw it, was inspired to write the poem, What Comes Next? The word relentlessly suggests an extreme, persistent, intense approach, a refusal to give up even in the face of adversity and obstacles. And when relentlessly is paired with love, agape love that truly benefits others, it's worth savoring. I love the contrast in that poem of clenching love versus love spreading through the body like a wave. If what comes next resonates and calms your body, soul, and spirit, consider integrating it into your daily practice. These days, I think all of us need activities and practices that ground us. And for any among us who are open to building new skills, I'd like to extend an invitation for an upcoming workshop on Zoom that's entitled From Payback to Love Back, Reacting Without Retaliating. The workshop is an invitation to look for ways in us and in our world to choose forgiveness over payback and love over division, to explore the role of revenge in ourselves and in the world around us. It's being presented by a gentleman by the name of Dave Rico, who's a psychotherapist, workshop leader, and writer from California. And Dave is offering this opportunity to Roman Catholic women priests around the world and their communities free of charge. It's in 2 weeks. The date is Saturday, February 22nd, between noon and 2 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll send out information and constant contact. Registration is required. I want to wrap up today, though, with Thea Bowman, who was a Black Catholic Franciscan sister who contributed richly to the ministry of the Catholic Church toward African Americans. Thea is featured in the documentary Going Home Like a Shooting Star. In 1990, shortly before she died at the age of 52, Thea addressed the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops at Seton Hall University in South Orange, New Jersey. Her body racked with cancer, her voice afire with energy. She spoke passionately about how poverty and racism intertwine to become systemic racism. Thea lived love, having grown up in a household where the choice was love. And to quote Thea, my mother and father would say, they don't understand. If they hate you, return love for their hatred. I grew up in a community that said we must return love no matter what. End quote. Imagine how different our world would be if we all carried that perspective. no matter what, I must return love. God bless you all.